Hi, Paul here for the Reason Beacon channel, broadcasting this from my bedroom studio here in the great Pacific Northwest. Today's topic is voter suppression, and I think it's a vitally important topic. If we want to keep our democracy healthy and vibrant, then we all need to participate. If voters are suppressed from exercising their constitutional voting rights, then many of my previous suggestions for reforms of our constitutional system become moot. I've placed links to videos detailing these previous reforms in the discussion below. If you like or are interested in these topics, hit the like button and subscribe for additional topics, and click on the bell to be informed when new topics come out. The world is changing. Technology and COVID have turned our world, including the voting world, upside down. If we want to keep our democracy strong and vibrant, then we, that is our society and government, have to change too. One of these changes has to do with how we vote. The right to vote is one of the fundamental tenets of a democracy, especially our democracy. If that right is abused, for example by apathy, or suppressed, then we all lose in both tangible and philosophical ways. That's why I think we need to ensure that we do all we can to end suppression of legitimate voting. To begin, let's first indicate what kind of voter suppression takes place. Then I'll explain my proposals for eliminating it. Historically, suppression of minority voters has been the majority of instances of voter suppression, but suppression of elderly, disabled, the poor, and other groups have also taken place. After the Civil War, the 15th Amendment guaranteed the right of all citizens to vote, and that's when voter suppression began to flourish. Not that it didn't happen prior to that time, but it really took off then. Typically, this took on the form of literacy tests, poll taxes, and that old standby voter intimidation. The 1965 Voting Rights Act, signed into law by then-President Lyndon Johnson, outlawed many of these suppression tactics. But, as with many things created by humans, it couldn't foresee the wily ways the intent of the act would be circumvented. The first big blow came in 2013, when the Supreme Court gutted Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Since then, a number of assaults on voting rights have been launched, many through the court system. Enough of these results have been successful so as to again suppress legal votes. Examples of modern voter suppression abound, and I can only list a few of them. Sadly, the assaults seem to be perpetual. The simplest tactic is making it harder to register to vote. For example, Georgia has an exact match registration requirement. Even an error as innocuous as missing comma or an extra space between words would cause your registration to fail, and you may not even know you were not properly registered until you try to cast your vote. Another tactic to suppress the vote is to purge the voter rolls requiring you to re-register. While there are many legitimate reasons to purge voter rolls in order to have a valid current population in a voting district, The tactic has been subverted to suppress voting. Recently, we've seen the tactic of reducing the number of polling places and drop boxes for mail-in ballots. This places a severe economic burden on working people who then have to wait for hours in long lines in order to vote, assuming they are actually able to vote before the polls close. Then there's that old standby intimidation. Armed observers at polling places asking voters who they are voting for. Poll workers berating voters for such things as trivial as their choice of clothes and refusing to let them vote. Arson. Yes, it still occurs. Drop boxes in Los Angeles were set on fire, destroying votes. Misinformation distributed to voters. Tracing where this misinformation originates can be difficult, but a few noteworthy examples are fake drop boxes labeled as, quote, official, unquote. This one was actually traced to the California Republican Party. The integrity of the cast ballots could not be verified. Indeed, it could not be verified that all the cast ballots were even counted. Making false robocalls. In one case, voters were told they could face forced vaccination, debt collection, and be reported to the police if they voted. In another case, voters were falsely told that due to COVID-19, they had until November 10th to vote. And of course, the polls had been closed by then. Unfortunately, this just scratches the surface of voter suppression tactics. I'll place a few more references in the discussion so you can Google, or you can Google for more information. But it does no good to just wring your hands and complain. The big question is, what do we do about this situation? Well, I have a few ideas. Please note that these proposals are intended to complement my proposals on redistricting. A link is provided in the discussion. Also note that while some of these proposals can be enacted via laws, a constitutional amendment would be better in order to preclude their being struck down by the courts, as they did in getting the Voting Rights Act. Here are my constitutional proposals. I propose that we make the density of polling places within a state, both geographically and per capita, uniform. Second, make the density of ballot drop boxes or locations within a state, both geographically and per capita, uniform. Next, require the length of time using normally available transportation to reach a polling place, ballot drop box, or other voting mechanism be uniform statewide. That is, if everybody can get to a drop box within an hour, you're okay. But if some people can only get to a polling place in 6 or 7 hours, then it violates this amendment. Well, unless everybody has that length of time, of course. Next, open all polling places for 24 hours. Open and close all the polls at the same time, universal time, in all states. Finally, stop the automatic purge of registered voters. Indeed, enact a uniform nationwide method of purging voter rolls. There are, of course, other topics that need to be debated and solved. I have no specific proposals concerning these additional topics, but I think the proposal I've outlined above will correct many of the obvious problems. Some of these additional topics are technology and its impact on voting, uniform vote by mail requirements. This is especially pertinent given the sabotage of the mail system led by the current Postmaster General. He even started destroying sorting machines until he was stopped by the courts. Early voting, same-day voter registration, automatic voter registration. All these things need to be debated and discussed. I hope you leave a comment giving me your opinion on these proposals. I think this one particularly is vitally important. Also would like to hear alternate proposals. Or you can visit the Reason Beacon website. If you like discussing this sort of thing and are interested in making our democracy stronger, subscribe and ring the bell in order to stay informed when new videos are available. And click on the like button, please. You can also show your support by clicking on our support links. Thank you.